guys, out for a morning walk. I'm gonna try to take I'm gonna see if I can do about 10 miles. About a 10-mile walk. We'll see if anyone joins us today. Steve the guardrail guy here. Um, just headed out for a walkabout, and going to see if anyone joins us. We're going to take a look at some barriers and get a walk in. Good morning. Just headed out for a walk. I'm hoping to do about 10 miles today. Taking a look at some barriers, deviations from Tennessee's design drawings. Just one of you popped in here. Sometimes we'll get 1,500, sometimes we'll get 180,000. There's an embarrassing element or an element within YouTube or social media where you decide, okay, I'm gonna go live, and like I said, sometimes you get 1,500, sometimes you get 180,000 that join you. Right now I have 3 people with me. Thanks for joining me. I'm Steve the guardrail guy. I'm just out for a morning walk. I'm hoping to start a statewide walk. Thanks, Randall. I'm going to be walking from my daughter's crash site to the governor's office in Nashville, Tennessee. I will probably take a long circuitous route. It'll be about 200 miles, and I've got like a little book that I'm gonna be registering every issue I find. Let me flip this around. I'll show you kind of like what I'm gonna do. So here's our first guardrail of the day. It's an unanchored blunt end. The issue is every good guardrail is going to need a beginning, a middle, and an end. This has a really rather lousy middle, and the ends are just, you have an end regardless of whether it's a good end or a bad end. These are bad ends. No anchorage. They have 12-foot post spacing in the middle here with the rectangle washers. This is a county-owned road, but you would anticipate a hit here would allow you to continue and just rupture right through the guardrail. This whole scenario is very similar to hey there, Wanda. Thanks for Wenda. Is that my mom? My mom's legal name is Wenda Jean. Wenda Jean Eimers. You don't meet too many Wendas, but that's truly my mom's name. So thanks for joining me. It's Steve the guardrail guy. I'm just continuing up this country road. Maybe we'll run into some deer. There's often a lot of deer here. Out for a walk, and just gonna share that with you. I'll show you a few things as I get ready to get on the. This is a Guardian Angel device. These are super strong magnets. Not a promo thing. It's just they gave me these because I guess my YouTube channel has, and TikToks, get enough views that if I'm seen with these, so what exactly I have no idea. I hope you're not going to be trolling me, Black Death Gaming, but if so, that's what the black button is. But anyways, Guardian Angel sent me a bunch of these, and so I'm going to put that on my back as I get on to walking down the not the interstate. I don't walk on the interstate. I am in Loudoun County, Tennessee, and I am headed, I think I'm going to walk to Knox County, because I'm anticipating doing this walk across the state of Tennessee, and I can walk a good 5 to 8 miles. I want to see how far I can push myself, because doing 200 miles all the way to the governor's office in Nashville from rural East Tennessee that's gonna be a nightmare. Well, I just ordered some new shoes. I think I'm gonna order another set of new shoes. But the issue is that the majority of the barriers, guardrails, pretty much everything we do deviates from our design drawings. And that's really what I intend to do. Is I've got a little book. I'm going to write down every deviation from our design standards. So these aren't my opinions. I'm not an engineer. I take their design drawings and make them live by their own set of rules. And anyways, I'm going to I'll give you a little taste of that today, where I'm going to be documenting their deviations. And my main goal with a lot of my advocacy, I'm starting a new investigation in the state of Alabama with the hope of triggering a statewide inspection. At this point, I think I've got 30 Frankenstein guardrail systems in the state of Alabama. Alabama's a tough nut to crack because they have sovereign immunity, but they also have contributory negligence, meaning that if you're at all play a 1% role in the crash outcomes, you're 100% at fault. So Alabama DOT has very little incentive to fix their problems. Tennessee DOT, again, thing called sovereign immunity, which means you can't sue the king. I get we're in the United States, we don't have a king, but when we had this whole Revolutionary War, they liked the idea of sovereign immunity. But let me just read these. James, you're in Loudoun County? Well, stop by. I actually have a little grab bag. I get all these little gadgets and pens and gizmos, and I've got stuff from Road Systems, North Carolina DOT, Ingios Technology, Traffics. I'm going to leave these somewhere on where it won't interfere with the performance of the guardrail. There's some other something from New Zealand, some little keychain. But I was going to leave those somewhere today, where later in my walk, and I'll put them somewhere safe. They're in a Ziploc bag. If somebody wants them, they can stop, go for a walk, and go get them. If they don't, if I go back in a week and they're still there, there's litter, then I'll pick them up and I'll toss them out. But anyways, my day's going well. Yeah, I've got the green high-vis, yellow actually. I'm gonna go ahead and put my my little guardian angel on my backside so that they can see me from the back. And thanks to Guardian Angel for that free. See, I can't see. I don't know what it looked like, but headed here from Connecticut. Connecticut is awful. Yeah. Well, they changed the exit signs in Connecticut because of federal highway mandates. Connecticut, you can throughout the Connecticut. I'll tell you this. I can tell you what the problems are in Connecticut. Turn down guardrails, kill tons of people. I'm gonna turn down guardrails in Connecticut, kill a lot of people. The other thing is damaged guardrails that simply aren't repaired for decades. I'll show you here. Good morning. How you doing?
I was doing all right until my TikTok got banned this morning.
What? Your TikTok?
Yeah, it got banned until November 2nd. I'm in this swimming competition. And I was already 2 days behind. And then somebody put a gambling charge on my TikTok this morning.
Oh no. I'm live on YouTube right now, but anyways, I'm just looking at here that we have this sign here. It's that's a deviation from Tennessee's design drawings. Yeah. But that should be 4 feet. That edge right there should be 4 feet from the edge of that guardrail, and they've bolted it there. That one's wrong. That one's wrong. That one's wrong. That one's wrong. Anyways, sorry about your TikTok.
I have to wait till November 2nd, I guess.
Well, wait till November 2nd. Yeah. Obey their rules. We'll see you.
I didn't do anything though.
It's
playing, and all of a sudden I get a strike for gambling, and I wasn't even talking on the headset.
No?
No, I didn't even have the mic turned on.
That's too bad. I'm sorry. Have a good day. Anyway, sorry, I'm not a young guy out here. Connecticut just does what they want. So anyways, anyone throughout a state, I'll tell you what their problems are. Connecticut, turn down guardrails, which are kind of a ramp-shaped guardrail, and not fixing damaged guardrails. I had a kid that was 11, 3 days shy of his first birthday, went through the guardrail and was killed. Mom was driving intoxicated, but it still shouldn't have been a fatal crash. Mom was stupid than the state was. Merritt Parkway guardrails, again, crash tested. There was a stipulation that Connecticut was to run in-service performance evaluation. Basically, you know, the scientific method. You have a hypothesis, you have a solution. Yeah, there's very little rebranding. A lot of these are unfunded federal mandates. Will reimburse you, say, for 5 or any of these. They'll reimburse you up to 100% of the cost of a sign or project. And well, Jason, 411 between Maryville and Bonor. Anyways, well, we got the 5-0 catching somebody right here. Anyways, it's Steve the guardrail guy. Somebody's getting a ticket, or at least getting pulled over. I wouldn't trust my property to a guardrail. The garbage truck has some bad brakes. Good morning. Anyways, so we have that cable there that anchors this. This is called a radius guardrail because it goes around the curve. We'll walk up here. Steve the guardrail guy. I'm going to scroll through some of these comments. We have a panel here. This is called SGRS4. And again, what I'm highlighting is the deviations from Tennessee's design drawings. I'm not going to get in those fire ants. I got in fire ants on a live the other day and it tore me up. So let's walk down here. We'll take a look. Here is our, this is panel 1. Right here, this is our SGRS4 panel. And so this is a design standard in the state of Tennessee. It's a pay item. You want to move from 27-inch rail to a 31-inch rail, or 31-inch to 27. So you have to transition that drop over 25 feet. It needs to be a straight line. You can see this has a curve in it. This post right here, there's about 10,000 of these that are wrong in Tennessee. That is a drilled hole. That's a punched hole. Drilled hole, punched hole. That is made with a punch. That's made with a drill. You can see the difference. That mushroom bolt, ideally what you're going to have is you're going to have your bolt release. So that bolt pulls through that mushroom hole. It's engineered that way, and it will kick over the post and the rail will stay up. We'll move back down here. When it's fixed like what you see here, it kicks the post over and it pulls the rail over because it doesn't release like what you'd get from that, and you end up in the hazard. The problem is that this is unsafe and it violates Tennessee DOT's drawings for SGRS4. And we have one up here that's wrong, one that's there that's wrong, one that's there that's wrong, this one's wrong, one over there that's wrong. So that's 5 within just about 10 feet of here. And this is part of my walk across the state of Tennessee, is identifying these deviations from approved design drawings or as tested conditions, and then making a huge list. I'm going to make a huge list. I'm going to walk into Governor Lee's office, knock on the door. So I got a list for the governor. I hope that I'll have a couple, at least a couple TV news outlets with me. It could be more. And I'm going to give them a list of probably 5,000 locations where we have deviations from our design standards. And what my goal is to push the state to push the state DOT to follow their design drawings. Don't make it up. And then also to do training. There's been little to no training. My daughter was killed about Hannah was killed, it was almost 8 years ago, and we did an initial guardrail training here in the state of Tennessee. And let me say, there was about 4 people signed up, and I am the kind of person that will get in a canoe and I'll stand up and rock it back and forth until you give me what I want. I ended up getting about 400 to 500 people trained across the state of Tennessee in all 4 regions. Not because but it shouldn't take me walking across the state or throwing a fit or getting state senators or representatives involved, threatening, civil disobedience, where I'm going to come and sit here for the next 2 days, or I'm going to put up a billboard. It shouldn't take civil disobedience for them to do their job right, but it seems to take civil disobedience and embarrassment and carrying on for them to do their job right. Anyways, that's so Mark, regarding guardrail protecting your property, it's not going to protect it. Very limited window on what guardrail does protect. Morning, how's it going? All right.
Scratching.
What?
Just scratching.
Well, I have a big YouTube channel, and I'm on a live stream right now. So, you want to say hi to anyone? I only got 41 people, but sometimes my lives will get anywhere from 1,500 people that come in to 180,000. Anyways, I focus on guardrails and barriers, and my daughter was killed in a guardrail crash. I got state and federal laws passed and about 100 million views on YouTube and TikTok, so you're joining me on a live. We'll make you famous. All right, well, have a good day. Still wearing that Alabama hat?
Yep. Always will.
Yeah. Have a good day. Hey, Chain Reactions, hello to you. Connecticut is awful. You must have visited at some point. I've been up to Greenwich. I had an uncle who, Darien, Connecticut. My uncle was, anyways. Yeah, I've been up to Connecticut. Good morning from Massachusetts. All right, we're going to play this game where anytime somebody mentions it, I'll give my first impressions. Massachusetts, your guardrails, again, you have some turn down issues, blunt end issues on your secondary roads, which are responsible for an awful lot of really critical injury, crashes, and fatal incidents. Your interstates, primary problem is run out length. Sharon, Massachusetts, Walpole line, mile marker 20.4, the left side. Hey, the cops got another guy. He just churns them and burns them all. The THP, they burn these things all day long. Anyway, so Massachusetts, Sharon, Walpole line. One guy got his leg cut off there when he hit an X-Light guardrail. April 2019, somebody got a young mother was killed there, and a lot of it had to do with length of need and guardrail repair. The issue in Massachusetts, on your main highways, is the presence of some older devices, NCHRP devices, that do not necessarily perform like our MASH tested devices perform, and then fixing damaged equipment, and then on your local roads, very extraordinarily obsolete equipment that just kills people. So the cops got another person pulled over. The issue is this road here, design speed is 70, posted speed is 40. People drive the speed they're comfortable going. So if you design your road to go 70, they're going to go 70. If you design your road for them to go 15, they're going to go 15. Now, I was looking at a road out in Lake Tahoe. There was a video on YouTube, TikTok that got about 1.5 million views. This woman was really scared. It's essentially a drop off of about 1,000 feet on either side of the road, and was wondering why there were no guardrails. And when the pucker factor, not another word, causes, when you see that hill, 1,000-foot drop off, you drive slow. And so that Lake Tahoe location was really extraordinarily safe. I pulled the data on that highway. That location had seen 0 fatalities. The sign installed the wrong way. That edge right there should be 4 feet from the face of that guardrail. Anyways, I pulled the data on that location in Lake Tahoe with a 1,000-foot drop off with no guardrail. And there hadn't been a single fatal crash in 15 years. I went further down the road where there actually were guardrails, and there were multiple fatalities, including fatalities involving the guardrail. The issue is that people will self-govern and drive the speeds they're comfortable driving. So that location, people were scared to death because there's a 1,000-foot drop-off, and they drove slowly and safely. But anyways, let's keep moving. That sign is installed wrong. Let's see. Move over for stopped emergency vehicles. So I mentioned the move over law, which is a law related to safety, and they installed a sign warning you about the safe sign. Wrong. So here's an issue. They recently just removed all the scrub brush. You don't just put up a guardrail to keep people on the road. You want people who have left the roadway to, in this situation, where's the hazard? There's no hazard. This guardrail should not be there. If you want to control entry and egress into a location like here, what we have down there, you use curbs. You don't use guardrails. Guardrails are a hazard. There's no hazard here. This guardrail is the hazard. And I'll tell you why this is here. This was a federal aid project, federal aid reimbursement program, 321. That's probably 100% reimbursement rate. So they get all they can all they get, sit on their can and poison the rest. They got the feds to pay for that guardrail, so it didn't come out of their pocket. So they installed it even though it was unnecessary. Yeah, it's the guardrail is a state by state. The feds own maybe less than 1/100th of the guardrails in the United States. Well, Jason, I am about to walk on to the canal bridge for US 321 hey Ryan, what's up, bud? I'll go with Florida since Ryan jumped on here. So Florida's main issue, secondary roads, they just beat it to fit, paint it to match. Their secondary roads that are owned by their cities and counties are terrifying. There's so much Frankensteining and improper installations. They just design it however the heck they want. This sign here, that's installed wrong. Let's see what's Lazy Acres RV Park. You might die because they installed the Lazy Acres RV Park sign wrong. I mean, goodness, it's not even a necessary sign. Let's see what this sign that's also installed wrong. We'll get back to Florida. That sign, should be breakaway. That edge right there is over the guardrail, should be 4 foot from the face. It's got 1, 2, 3 bolts fixing it to strong beam W guardrail. Alright, I'm going to actually cross over. Maybe I'll be able to show you a little phenomenon with the river. So going back to Florida, local roads are atrocious with their installations. They just do almost everything wrong. It's really scary. And a lot of very old, obsolete equipment on the local roads in the state of Florida. On the interstates, We just got close to between 100 and 250 million dollars worth of barriers that were placed in the state of Florida. The problem is there's little to no education related to barrier installs, and the same mistakes that FDOT and Disney were correcting related to our stories at WTSP 10 in Tampa. They're making those same mistakes again. They're making them again. And so FDOT's issue is training and installation. Training and installation. And I will say timely repairs of crash cushions. It's a specific location. I-4, I think it is. I-75 interchange, headed south. I mean, I was watching this location. I knew it was bad. And a young girl was killed there because they didn't make a timely repair. So timely repairs in the state of Florida, timely repairs pretty much everywhere an issue. I probably have 500 fatalities I've documented where somebody was killed hitting a damaged piece of barrier. It worked right the first time. All right. 321 near the dam. Yes, I'm about to walk over. Can actually see the mountains pretty clear off there in the distance. Well, Chuck Nutty, you're right. I can't stop you from installing guardrails improperly. I don't get paid enough to. Yep, there's a lot of that attitude. I don't necessarily think you're making that up. There are some folks that delight in being jackasses. They truly delight in being a jackass. And maybe you're just a face or a YouTube troll, or you might even be telling the truth. So I'm crossing here. I'm going to wait. And sometimes you'll see one of my shorts and you'll see me in a location like this. This one here is fairly simple to get across today. What you don't see is that sometimes those getting to that location will take me 30 minutes because I'm waiting till it's safe. Somebody's flying. I don't know if we can see it. I'll stop here on the side. They're flying remote control airplanes over there near Tellico Dam. All right. Understand the cable. The cable at the beginning of the guardrail tensions the rail. And Dr. Phil's your savior. Dr. Phil's a decent guy. I don't know about him being a savior. Guardrail operates for a very narrow window of vehicles. It operates for vehicles weighing between 2,000 pounds and about 5,000 pounds that hit under specific impact angles and are driving like straight. None of this kind of, very limited. That's one of the big things. It's like they sell us on like these things being Superman, and they're more like, I don't know if you remember Hans and Franz. They are weak. They're weak. So you can see there's a little bit of that phenomenon I was going to show you. I had a TikTok video that got about 130,000 views. The lake here on my left, this is a canal for Tellico Lake. That is Fort Loudon Lake. This is the merger of the Tennessee River and the Little Tennessee River. I'm not going to get too close to that edge. I got a brand new phone. But anyways, you see that line? It's coming off two watersheds. We had the hurricane that came through here about a month ago, and there's still a lot of turbidity in the guardrail and or in the water. Turbidity in the guardrail. Turbidity in the water. I swear I haven't had a drink in years. Anyways, and so they have the floodgate open on the dam up there, and it allows the muddy water to flow through. When they shut that off, the muddy water will actually back up and all this water becomes muddy too. This is one of the longest. I've never seen this phenomenon before. The line there was so crystal clear not too long ago. You can see a lot of washed up sticks up on Douglas Lake. There are trees, and Chimney Rock has even, and we have a little bit of debris down here compared to them. But anyways, I think that line is pretty cool. Has nothing to do with guardrails. There's a concrete barrier. There's a guardrail. But there's that line. And it's just two watersheds, and this watershed coming off of Little Tennessee River did not get flooding, so the water's kind of clear and it's kind of blue. Pretty pronounced on this fall day. Some beautiful fall colors. Nothing like you get up in Massachusetts where you have, that may be a bald eagle over there in the distance. I can't zoom in far enough. I've been seeing them a lot lately here up near Tellico Dam. There's a couple places you can park, and you can go for a walk on Fort Loudon Dam. There's a nice walkway there. There's a nice walkway over in that direction for Tellico Dam. A very good chance if you walk that you're going to see, you'll probably see deer, you'll probably see turkeys. Excellent chance you'll see a bald eagle. A decent chance you'll see a bobcat. And you might see me in my natural habitat. They've had a bear that was down here. Typically we don't. You'll see a lot of waterfowl. You might see, oh goodness, sandhill cranes, blue herons. Told the story many times, but many of you haven't. There's that line. Isn't that cool? I don't know why silly little things like that interest me, but it does. I caught a blue heron right up there. This kid he snagged it with his fishing line and was just being an idiot. Somebody cut the line and I got the heron. This great blue heron, but those suckers have a very, very sharp beak. I called my friend who's a game warden, and I'm holding this bird. And I'm like, Anthony, hey, can I take this down to the University of Tennessee? And he's like, yeah, but you're going to have to pay for it. And so I'm holding this blue heron, and I didn't control its beak, and that sucker nailed me right there between the eyes. Fortunately, didn't hit me in the eyes, but I have blood coming down. Don't ever pick up a blue heron, even if it's hurt. There's plenty of blue herons. Going back to, I get distracted. Going back to guardrails, I would highlight the crash in Australia with the wedding bus. Recent indictment, conviction for murder, where 10 people were killed. Guardrail doesn't work well with oversized vehicles. In that situation, I saw some field drilled holes. I don't know why they even had the guardrail in that roundabout to start with. And it looked like the guardrail to me entered the passenger compartment. I don't think it would have been nearly as fatal. I don't think that sign's compliant. Let me flip this over. That should be 4 feet from the, I'd have to hang a plumb line and measure it, but that looks too close. We don't follow almost any of our design drawings. Almost any of them. So, motorbikes. Motorcycles every single day. My alerts. I like sharing how I get my guardrail alerts because I get better alerts than anyone in the world. And I've had some of the researchers ask me, hey, how do you find out about these crashes? Well, now I have a really unfair advantage. I have a YouTube channel that has, and TikTok, that I get tagged in crashes sometimes in real time, within 30 minutes of the crash, sometimes sooner. But I don't have any alerts. I type into Google guardrail crash. That's the only term I search. I isolate it to the last 24 hours, and I try to search on a desktop. For some reason, that returns better results than if I had a Google alert. I get bogus stories if I have Google alerts, news alerts set up. I've got this off-ramp here. I'm watching my back. I'm also watching because people do stupid stuff like come up the wrong way. And anyways, Steve the guardrail guy. I'm getting ready for a statewide walk across the state. My daughter Hannah was killed about almost 8 years ago now. She left on Halloween at about 4 p.m. She was 17. She was in community college. She had graduated at 15. Hit a X-Light guardrail on the left side of the road and was fatally impaled. The girl beside her walked away without a scratch. So it's 8 years tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. 8 years. Sorry. Anyways, it was 8 years ago tomorrow that I last saw Hannah. I can talk about stuff. Normally, most of the time, then some, I don't even know why it hits you sometimes. 8 years ago, it was about 4 p.m. I was standing in my driveway. She walked out and we never saw her again. Her injuries were so catastrophic that, oh gosh. It was like losing somebody to the sea. Cremation was pretty much our only option because we were picking up pieces, literally. That set me off on a journey to just what happened. I was actually right down here on Highway 444. So much of that journey's been providential. I can't explain apart from the sovereignty of God. Not some, I come from a faith background, but I don't see, I don't try to assign. Anyways, I was just driving down the road and I whipped to the side of the road, typed in Tennessee guardrail crash, and it sent me down a rabbit hole that I'm not out of yet. That sign right there is installed adjacent to the WV guardrail, violates the design drawings. That sign violates the design drawings. That sign violates the design drawings. That sign violates that sign. That sign. That sign. That one. That one. That one. We have clear design drawings. We just don't follow them. That should be 4 feet from that edge. It's not. That should be 4 feet from that edge. It's not. We have our design drawings. We just don't follow them. Anyways, going back to Hannah's crash, I was getting ready to, I remember the coffee, I remember the smell. I had it in a Tweety Bird cup. I worked EMS. Got a call that she'd been in a crash. It was not good. I wanted to go to the scene. I wanted to go to the trauma center. And they won't tell you anything. They won't tell you anything. You call 911, they're not going to tell you. So, I'm like, okay, hey, I made it to a bank up in town here in Lenore City, and made it to the bank, but I'd stopped probably 25 times because you're like, the physiological symptoms of, when you realize, I think my child's dead. Oh gosh. You can barely breathe. I think if you stayed in that state for more than a couple days, the broken heart syndrome, I think it was Prince Leia's mom. I'm gonna hop behind the guardrail here. It's real. I mean, goodness. And I understand now, I've never struggled with addiction, but goodness, I swear, if somebody had given me anything in that first 24 hours, I might have done something stupid. So we're all 1 or 2 decisions away from stupid. So I try to be humble rather than be humbled. you just want to escape the pain. But anyways, Hannah, I called 911 and I was like, hey, is there has a helicopter been dispatched to the scene? Because I'm trying to get, they said no. And I was like, oh man, that's not good. It's not good. I said, are there going to be any transports? There won't be any transports. At that point, I knew my daughter was dead. And just laid in that parking lot, and I remember friend Victor, friend Corey came to the parking lot, and they literally picked me up off the parking lot ground and drove me home. And we never saw Hannah again. But it was set off a series of questions that have led to federal law, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of barriers. I'm in multiple national news stories, multiple 100 million views on YouTube and TikTok. I've got an Emmy Award at home. Anyways, that's not what I set out to do. But I don't even know how I got on this subject. I think it's just that as we get close to the anniversary, just is ever present in it's always present in your mind, whether it's anniversary or not. Let me flip this around and read some more questions. Hey Donut, hello to you too. There's no yellow reflectors. You know, the yellow reflectors, that's a state by state issue. Mark, yep, hello to you too. Mattias, motorcycles do not interact with guardrails. Big rigs typically, yes, they just blow through it. Yep, Ryan. And there's TL6 too, which is a really heavy duty concrete. But motorcycles, about a third of all of the fatal crashes involving post and beam barriers, that would include driving and cable barrier too, involve motorcycles. They represent about a third of the vehicle fleet. They don't ride on rainy days, snowy days, the days that typically, lead to instability and crashes with barriers. So motorcycles are 3% of the vehicle fleet, about 33% of the fatal incidents. They don't ride half the year in northern climates, and they don't ride on the days most likely to produce a guardrail fatality. And they still represent 33% of the fatalities, and we've done next to nothing to protect motorcyclists. I was talking with the Administrator of Safety for the Federal Highway Administration, and the contempt displayed by this person towards motorcyclists was repulsive. Thankfully, that person is no longer, she's retired, but vile. I could not stomach the Administrator of Safety for Federal Highway. It was some of the most disgusting behavior, arrogance that I've ever seen from a public official. Anyways, it's Steve the Guardrail Guy here. Oh, yeah, the trucker, I think he was just stopped for a second, but I don't know those rules. Hi from London, England. So London, you just, let's look at your guardrails. I've looked briefly. One, y'all drive the wrong way. So you're on the wrong side of the road. I think that's a bald eagle there, folks. If he gets here closer, we'll see if we can zoom in. A lot of non-energy absorbing, they focus on design and more than you do here in the United States. Here we just, yeah, that's a bald eagle, folks. Let's see if we can zoom in. Let me see if I can get him. There, that right there is the American bald eagle. You can't really see it, but this is, you can park over here, and you should, if you anywhere near East Tennessee, come down, walk down, watch the dam, watch the fishermen, watch the barges. You might see a bald eagle like I just saw right here. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Even though I see them fairly often, it's pretty cool to stop and see such a huge, they're massive too. Sometimes they'll fish underneath the dam here. Let's see if we can see any birds fishing. There's a lot of osprey here. They'll fish underneath the dam here, and they will fly back to their nest here. There's an osprey nest there. There's an osprey nest there. All these raptors. But if they get a fish that's too big, they'll drop it on the road. And if you've been on one of my lives, I tell the same stories often. Well, that's not ideal. Let's flip over and see what they're warning us. Road work ahead. Road work, 1,500 feet. Well, we didn't install the sign wrong and it just blew over. Anyways, I'm not going to take the call right now. But you can park over here. This is Tennessee River, Watts-Bar Lake, Fort Loudon Dam. Easy to park. Here's a guardrail I got fixed. I got a lot of stuff fixed that I haven't shown you along the way. This is a frequent flyer. This guardrail gets hit a lot. Had a small tear in the rail, but the consequences of going over the edge are awful. So my rating for Iowa, I'm going to walk in this bike lane. I'm going to walk on the edge of the bike lane because I wonder why people don't use bike lanes. It's because you have somebody driving 70 miles an hour up your rear end. Iowa has single source. There's a osprey. I just caught a fish. It's going to fly over us. Iowa single sources, it seems, the Trinity Beltier soft stop. There's an issue with the bolt passing through the rail at post number 2. I've got a video related to that that got 400,000 views on TikTok. It's my longest video that's gotten the most views. Not my most viewed video, but my longest video is about 3 minutes long. Got about 400,000 views on TikTok. And it was related to the bolt passing through the rail at post number 2 on the soft stop. The manufacturer and designer says that can be lethal. Somebody says they can kill you. Generally best to believe them. And what the so there had been a recent fatality in Texas. I've documented fatalities in the state of Iowa with that. And probably, at least on the interstate system, Iowa has way too many soft stop guardrails with bolts passing through the rail at post number 2 that could be potentially lethal. There's things I like about the soft stop and many things I don't. It was self-certified. The people that own the patent and receive the royalties, that causes a lot of guardrail crashes right there. Clogged drains. The people that crash tested it, designed it, received the royalties are the same people. So they had a conflict of interest. On test 31 and 35, your 2 most critical tests, the soft stop punctured the fuel tank, and the feds covered this up for the better part of 5 years, and then they were finally forced to add a note. They added a note that basically, and it doesn't basically, it just says while it's not preferable for fuel tanks to be ruptured in a guardrail crash test, it's not a criteria for pass or fail. So essentially, there's a number of times the soft stop will puncture the fuel tank, and you don't get speared, you get incinerated. Hannah loved ruby slippers, and in the original Frank Baum, he had silver slippers, not ruby slippers. But anyways, Iowa, too many soft stops. Installation in deficiencies on a number of their terminals. Then rural communities are extraordinarily obsolete guardrails kill people. Romania. So I have not looked at a lot of guardrails in Romania. I was 25 feet from the Romanian border down near Cahul. I was headed to Cahul, Moldova. We drove literally through a pasture, a little town called Volcanista. We were taking shoes to a very, very rural orphanage. Learned a valuable lesson. Don't ever eat a salad in Moldova. Oh man, I was so sick. But, there's a young man from Romania, the man I was just talking about, Aggie. He was just killed after leaving the Texas A&M game, hitting a Valtier soft stop that his family had immigrated. I don't know if he was born here in the U.S. or born in Romania, but he was killed. He was 23. The girl beside him walked away with barely any injuries. But that was just a horrific crash. Never been to Romania. I've been within 25 feet, but I guess if I would have tried to cross the border there, I probably would have been shot. Yeah, let me go back up here. It's about roadside safety, but I'm just out for a walk and I'm sharing what I find interesting. You can see here, the water is flowing from the dam. I like dam safety too. Since I've lived in this area, there've probably been 5 to 6 people that have died when they get too close to the floodgates fishing. So I'm just not alive. I'm just going for a walk. Brazil. Brazil, okay, so I monitor guardrail crashes in the United States, Canada, and Brazil. Brazil has a massive problem with old, obsolete guardrail. Bridge transitions, like what we're going to see right here, going from W-beam guardrail into concrete. Tons of people die at the Coffin Corner. There's a huge problem with Broad. There was a bus crash where it was concrete, but the right rebar was not properly done, and it just ruptured, and there was 40-some people killed. Brazil has a massive guardrail spearing issue. Massive guardrail spearing issue. And with a specific product, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Very specific problem that piqued my interest and drew my attention to. I know Campinas, Sao Paulo, oh goodness, Minas Gerais. I'm butchering these names, and I apologize. There is a reason why I know the top 100 cities in Brazil, and Google that city and the guardrail name on a regular basis and check the images. It's the reason why I know that the most common phrase in referencing, well, not necessarily, accidente de guardrail, Atravessa Caro. Again, I'm probably butchering the Portuguese, but there's a reason why I know certain Portuguese words. It's because there's a massive, massive exposure. I understand conceptually, I'm not responsible for it. There are American companies that will dump products into what they perceive as the third world because they feel that those lives are less valuable than others. And I get it, that was done because some of my advocacy, probably here in the United States, I had no role in it, but it does eat, that secondary effect of my advocacy. Everything is wrong in your eyes. No, everything is not wrong in my eyes. Everything is wrong that I find in the eyes of Tennessee DOT. Tennessee DOT is the one that put their design drawings out there, and I just take their design drawings and I'm like, well, you didn't do it right according to your design drawings. Nobody cares what Steve the guardrail guy has to say. They care about what the design drawings have to say, and the design drawings are crystal clear. That's the problem they have, is I make them live by their own set of rules. I'm going to actually walk up here because while I should be able to cross right there at that intersection, very high probability if I do, I get run over. So I'm going to walk up here and cross. I am planning a statewide walk where I'm going to actually document all of the fatal crashes, or not fatal crashes, but design deficiencies in a 200-mile walk from my daughter's crash site to the governor's office in Nashville, and then I'm going to put them on legal notice and get probably $5 to $10 million worth of guardrails replaced. How's it going this morning? So when do the lights get installed? So when are y'all installing the lights?
Probably another week and a half, 2 weeks, they'll be going up.
Okay.
Poles will be going up.
Oh, good. So when they decide when to turn these on, don't they? Or
No, we don't have
what?
we don't have a cabinet for it. We'll have it wired probably ready. Maybe late next week. We'll still run that corner together. I'll still run this cabinet together over all the structures.
What, are you going to put those little baffles on them? Look, the thing that prevents the circular galloping?
On the arms?
Yeah.
It don't call for them on this one for some reason. Usually over a 55-footer gets it.
Huh.
They call for them.
Yeah, you guys can only do what you can.
What's
on the drawings? You
yeah,
don't.
whatever they purchase, they want to put up. We'd sold it to them, it'd have it on it.
Well,
Doing all right today?
yeah, I just had it live. I live streamed install on that one. I have a guardrail channel. Were you out here when I was doing that?
Put up that upright? Yeah, man. Flew that arm?
Yeah, sometimes my views I get 1,500 people that join me. Sometimes I get 180,000. I did a guardrail install up here. I had over 180,000 people join me.
All right.
So, anyways, I appreciate. This is actually going to make a big difference in the.
Tremendous. You'll think you're still in town.
Yeah.
It'll be lit up so bright here. And a red light to control this.
Oh yeah. There have been so many crashes. Have you had any crashes while you were in here?
Real lucky. A lot of horns. Semi sliding its tires the other day coming through here. Car pulled right out in front of him.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. And see, this is where we make a living.
Yeah. I have.
Somebody, put on, there you go, put on there. Who stole all my damn cones out here over the weekend?
Somebody stole your
Yeah,
cones?
20 cones I had lying in the work area. They're gone.
They steal everything. I
hope they end up with an ingrown toenail that they just can't live with.
All right. Well, I better get continuing on my walk. Thanks. To everyone on YouTube, hello. See you later. Sorry, I got distracted there. Yeah, move over. Hey, concrete barrier falls apart. It needs to be fixed. Yes, I hear you. That's awful. All right, so I'm going through these comments. Hope some old folks can read that sign. Move over for everyone on the side of the road. Yeah, like those guys I was just talking to. Recent NTSB. There's a really great guy, Jen Homendy, who runs it. Appointed by Trump, elevated by Biden. Only single person in a senior level cabinet position like that in the United States. I hope that she sticks around. Came out of Transport Dems on the United States Congress, elevated by Trump, or placed on the board by Trump and then elevated by Biden. She's great. But there was a recent report that the NTSB sent me where 6 workers were killed in Maryland, and it was related to high speeds and then work zone design, and they were just all gone. A father and son were on that work crew, and they were all dead. So yeah, slow down and move over. States who have a drinking age of 21 get funding. Yeah, and that's the feds will play games like that. Everything is wrong in your eyes. No, it's not. It's a comment I read. 1450 BC, Book of Exodus references, holy anointed and made from cannabis. Wow. So Brazil. I'm from East Tennessee, Brazil. That's not a problem for highway. Those guys could, I swear, the guys that plow, they can set their blade and miss that guardrail. But I bet I could put an apple on the top of that guard. Could knock it off. They're so good with that snowplow. It's unreal. But yeah, I could use trim. I'd be out here all day if I was trimming things. Hello, bro. Thanks for the comment. You let tragedy turn you into a hero. Like a Mum and Rider. You know, I didn't set out to do what I did, but it just kind of happened. Thank you. Thanks for the acknowledgement of the loss of Hannah. Yeah, I'm the guardrail guy. Thanks, Nate. Anniversaries are extraordinarily difficult. Weird things are extraordinarily difficult. I was in Walmart one time, picked up some spinach, and all of a sudden I just totally lost it in Walmart over spinach. And I like to think that I'm a rational person. Some people would say I'm not. But I like to think I'm rational, and you're crying in Walmart over spinach. It just triggers something. My husband rides a motorcycle. It's scary, but he loves it. Yeah, one thing I would say is most people I know who ride bikes don't ride a bike to add days to their life, but life to their days. I don't ride a bike. I rode a bike and rode into a barbed wire fence in Arizona. Then I rolled into a cactus, and then I rolled into some gravel. Everything in Arizona is sharp. I'm in East Tennessee. I was working out at the Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale. And I'll watch my back here. I went down once, and that was good enough for me. But it's a shame that so many people die with their music still in them, or they've lived such a safe life. We're not getting off this planet alive. So what's the point? And I'm not saying be reckless at all, but I don't want to tell somebody we don't want to live in a bubble wrap world either. Thinking of you and your family this week. Love from England. Thank you. Got a funny story. I have a customer from England living here in East Tennessee, and one of the folks from around here, born and raised. I grew up in I was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee, but I grew up in Western New York. But local, talking to Mrs. Jones with her strong, thick British accent, and said, "What's that language you're speaking?" And Mrs. Jones is so witty. She says, "What do you think it is?" And this cleaning lady says to her, "Well, I don't know, but I think it sounds like French." And she says, "Wow, you're really good." This woman laughed, thinking that this British lady who was speaking English, but with a British accent, was speaking French. And I love that story. Miss Jones, one of my favorite customers over the years. I won't pretend to understand what you've been through, but my heart goes out to you. Thank you, Sophia. I shudder to imagine the things I'd do if this happened to my kids. You can't understand until you've been there. And one of the things that's been hard for me, and it's happened this week, happens every week. I have intentionally allowed the pain to remain kind of raw at a tolerable level, because it makes me effective when I'm speaking on camera, doing a TV interview, speaking with a leader. But I want people who have been in bad guardrail crashes, lost someone, to call me. And looking at, often reading the narrative of a guardrail crash, where it describes the injuries, for my PTSD, that can be worse than looking at the photos or watching a video. Because the picture that you paint in your own mind, I don't know, for me, reading the narratives have been more difficult than watching some of the photos. Now, there's some of them, oh gosh, just even saying that, it starts a slideshow in my head that, you have to, PTSD, a lot of times it's tough. But anyways, it's not something that you can quickly get past. I've seen someone die on the road. You don't think, I worked EMS, and I did too, and I remember, you just don't think it can happen to you. Conceptually it can. You just don't think it can happen to you. Think of like DJ Corcoran and Pierce and Wendy, his wife. But DJ was a public information officer for Knoxville Fire. We've been to how many crashes, how many news stories? And then it hits his family. You don't conceptually believe that it actually could happen to you. You know it could, but you don't believe it. And then it does. Yeah, I got into guardrail, and the EMS background and working as a registered nurse in the hospital did play a big role in my investigation. There was a concept called injuries not compatible with life, and then there was also this issue of incompatibility with injuries in my daughter's crash. You had one person that was dead right there. DRT is how the term I was taught. It's kind of crude, I get it, but somebody was dead right there, And then there was somebody who was all walkie-talkie and fine. And I was just trying to understand, how was my daughter dead and this other girl sitting in my living room with barely a scratch on her body? That kind of set me off that on the investigation. Terry, okay. You tell me where I can safely cross there. And go ahead, call. You're a troll. Oh, sorry. Hey, Brazil. Again, I talked about you. Better call Steve, I guess. Houston. Okay. Houston is going to be a crash cushion repair in the state of Texas is huge. At your gore points, the lack of timely repairs is a massive issue. Turn downs. Your farm to market roads. Texas has their interstates, their regular connectors, and then these FM roads, which are often 65 mile an hour locations with a lot of obsolete devices on those roads. So Texas, I'm going with Texas in general, but Houston, again, your gore points and proper maintenance of your crash cushions. Texas has one of the highest incidents of fatalities, disproportionate to the number of the exposure involving crash cushions. Now, that could be related to a couple of things. Could be they do a better job at recording their statistics, but I believe it's because of a lack of timely repairs. Plus, Texas has the highest speeds in the nation. The systems are only designed, and this is another big Houston problem. It's an American problem. Our barriers are tested at 62 miles per hour. We do this trick where we say it's in kilometers. So it says 100. Nobody in America uses kilometers per hour. And so what they're doing is they're letting us tell a lie to ourselves, which is 100 kilometers per hour and is 100 miles per hour. So we think we're safe when in fact it's well below posted speeds. So the issue in Texas, overcapacity, is a big deal. There's somebody from Texas. Y'all can go to hell and I'll go to Texas. Famous Tennessee congressman said that. He got voted out and went to Texas. Salem de France Comté. Je m'appelle Steve. Bonjour. I once in 10th grade accidentally knocked out my French teacher. I was throwing a super ball at the wall and it wasn't listening. It was a very new teacher and I missed the ball. I was throwing it at the wall and I missed it, and he was sitting at his desk and it hit him. I never got in trouble. I don't know if he was gracious or just didn't remember. But I threw the ball at the wall and it hit him, and he had a headache. He didn't come to school for 2 days. But France, obsolete rail. Just old rail. Barriers that are just simply not going to really... And they're window dressing. A lot of unanchored stuff, a lot of turned down stuff. Where Princess Diana crashed, exposed hazards. See, even to this day, you have Princess Diana and a son of a billionaire killed at this location, and they have they were going too fast, but the speeds were too high, but they had exposed hazards, and there's so many fatalities, and I'm going to try to cross this road again. Yes, I am going to jaywalk because it is safer for me to jaywalk than to cross at the intersection. And if you have a problem with me choosing the safer option, you can go pound salt. Great work. Thanks for keeping us safe. Is this Gaza? No, I do. I'm going to wait here because he's going to cut this corner. I'm worried he'll run me over. I'm aware of a crash in Fredonia, New York. Individual got caught behind the rear wheels, pedestrian, and she was killed. Not to happen to me. One of my fatal crashes that I recently documented, it was in the West Bank. It was a Jewish settlement, but the guardrail was unbolted. They ruptured through it. I have so many fatal crashes around the world with unbolted guardrails. They didn't even connect it. So we'll say, well, does guardrail work? I don't know. When it's bolted, not bolted together, it doesn't. And I'll probably have a critic who says, well, you're not an engineer. I'm like, yeah, but it's not bolted together. I can see. All right, I'm trying to keep up with... Bro, why are you in the middle of the highway? Oh, I was crossing. Doing good, lad. Thank you. Indonesia. Okay, so hello from Indonesia. Again, probably Southeast Asia. The underlying problem is the same in much of the developing world, is the use of non-energy absorbing devices that will cause a vehicle. Check out that. We don't have too many maple trees, so we don't get as many vivid colors. We get a lot of yellows off the oaks here in East Tennessee. Those are maple leaves. Maple tree there. Much better colors. Not like what we got in Western New York or Buffalo. It's Steve the Guardrail Guy. Just out for a walk, seeing how far I can walk today because I'm planning to walk across the state. I often walk 3 to 5 miles. And I'm intending to walk from Loudoun County across Fort Loudoun Dam. Now I'm on Highway 11 headed towards Knox County. And I'm going to walk, I think, to Farragut. Which, this road is dangerous. Hopefully we won't have a problem. But anyways, I got my guardian angel on my back. I literally have a guardian angel light device on my back, so hopefully people will see me coming from the backside. Arizona is fun riding a bike. Yeah, unless you hit a barbed wire fence. Keep it up, you're doing God's work. Everyone say, I have no idea what you just said. I gotta be careful just reading the comments. I don't know if you ever saw the Charles Barkley teleprompter. Look it up on YouTube. Charles Barkley's reading the teleprompter and he just reads, he's reading and he's like, I'm a jackass. And they just entered it into the teleprompter. And so sometimes I'm just reading these comments and I'll read them and I'll say something that I wouldn't normally say. I actually got a text from a friend the other day about a video I shot on the Dragon. Said, hey, this is a wicked S-E-S-S-E. The letter S. S shape. A wicked S curve. And he's like, Steve, I didn't think you swore it so callously. And I was like, what do you mean? They thought I said wicked ass curve. And I was like, no, I didn't say wicked ass curve. But I listened and it did sound like that. I heard my buddies talking about you the other day. You're a legend. Thank you for the work you do. God bless. That's crazy. political comment about Trump. I'll tell you a quick story about both candidates, not political, but how barriers and guardrail one. Barriers saved Trump when he was president. Opelika, Alabama. I've told this story many times. If you're on this live and you've been on a previous one, I'm sorry. But rubbernecker looking at the president, came across, hit the cable barrier, and was captured just before he hit the president head on. Just recently, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, captured on DOT web camera a drunk driver driving the wrong way down the interstate, nearly hit the vice president of the United States head on. There's a guardrail that I got replaced on the off-ramp to Andrews Air Force Base that had been there for a decade or more, probably 2 decades. That was Frankenstein, and multiple vice presidents had driven by this location. Was able to get it fixed. I had somebody hit it, it would have functioned like an IED. That recent crash up in Milwaukee, it was 2 weeks ago. And I get there's probably half the people on here hate the one candidate, half the other people hate the other one. But the actuality is that both current candidates for president have had very close calls. And again, calls that were not even caused by their own negligence, where their life was in peril. So traffic violence can affect anyone. The current president, very disappointed that he didn't use his own story. His first wife and his young toddler were killed in a crash with a tractor trailer. I think he had a pulpit that, unfortunately, but he never has really talked too much about that crash. And every person who's lost responds in a different way. So, like, yes, he's the president, but I look at him as somebody who, if we were to talk, I would want to know about his wife, about his daughter. But kind of disappointed because given the position he was in, I thought we could have made more progress on traffic safety. But I have to stay out of the political stuff. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to read that one. What I can tell you this. I've gotten over 100 calls related to people killed in crashes. And some, like, I have a friend from the inner city of Baltimore. You know, politically, you can guess how she would vote. I have a friend from the mountains of North Carolina. I've seen video or post on his Facebook. I can tell you how he probably votes. Check out those moms. I love moms. I'm going by Pope's Garden Center. But not one of those people that called me looking for help asked me how I voted. They wanted an explanation for how their loved one was killed in a guardrail crash. Now, there's a location that could use a guardrail. Somebody went into a deep pit there and was killed. I'm not a big advocate for adding guardrail. I'm also not a big, I support private property rights, but when you build a location and then dig a huge pit that makes the roadside more dangerous, I'm like, listen, fine, you don't get your curb cuts. You don't necessarily get to do your design to make the roadside safer. You're going to have to use your property in a safe, ethical manner. And digging a massive pit beside the road is not a safe, ethical manner. Swing your arms and walk fast. Sharp exits and short entrances and unnecessary winding highways. That's a problem. Joe Dirt, I'm stealing that phrase. Your town looks like crap. Hello from Mars. Did Elon get you to Mars already? I'm not an Elon fanboy, but oh my gosh. That Starship capture, to shoot a 20-story building into space and then catch it. Seeing that, I know we can solve the problem with guardrail. If we could get somebody like Musk to get involved, it would be unreal. How long will a guardrail last without damage? So that's a really good question. It'll stay there for, I can tell you, the better part of 80 years. How long will it be safe? I'd like to see expiration dates on guardrail, and I think 20 to 25 years. Every 20 to 25 years, a barrier should be replaced. It's not been damaged in that time period. Should receive a full engineering analysis to determine whether the initial analysis for barrier placement was actually justified. Again, that's not my call. I'm just saying, hey, if it's not been used, it doesn't mean it isn't needed. It could be needed tomorrow. But were the initial calculations, were they valid? I'm gonna decline that call for now. I'll call you back. Lots of Trump comments. Please don't, if that continues, it's not. Where's the garbage island at? That's on Douglas Lake. I was on Fort Loudon. They put the boom for the, I'm way far away from where I started. Check this road. You don't want to take that too fast or you're going to flip over in that person's front yard. They built themselves some bollards, and I can see why. Let me see. I'm going to walk up here. There is not much space. It's not a very safe option. I will probably cross over here shortly. Walk across the road. Yes, there's no intersection, so somebody will probably accuse me of jaywalking, and that's fine. Go ahead. So I've tried spreading it around. You're messaging to people who claim the USA has never had faulty guardrails in regards to China's guardrails. I said it's just faulty craftsmen everywhere. It's generally faulty craftsmanship everywhere. There is a massive amount of fraud involving guardrails. You can research the fraud settlement with the state of Missouri involving the Trinity system, the litigation surrounding that. You can search, I follow a case in Missouri. You can follow a case, you're welcome to go to court with me in January for a motion hearing. I'm a whistleblower. On behalf of the state of Tennessee, IMERS, ex-relator, Tennessee versus a bunch of billion-dollar corporations. It's on the court docket in Davidson County, Tennessee. I'm trying to hold these companies accountable, get the state's money back, and make the state taxpayers whole again. So it's a massive problem. That's rather interesting. I agree with you on assessments check other parts. If that continues, possible malfunctioning parts. I've seen parts that don't meet specifications. They put in a red line. I mean, when you put in, and somebody even said in one of these emails, I thought a red line was supposed to be temporary. Yep, they're supposed to be temporary. Malfunctioning parts. Love how you're walking with your back to traffic. I was picking out a specific route I wanted to take. A lot of it, yes, I don't know. It's extraordinarily unsafe to be a pedestrian, and I'm picking the least bad option. I'm going to switch to the other side here. Yeah, I've had a couple times where I was shadow banned and like for specific things. It's kind of frustrating. You're genuinely doing God's work. I swear I wish I could spread it around more people without it being shadow banned, because some people don't believe it happens in the US. I've had people claim that I'm spreading misinformation. I walked up here, show you some, well, design drawings say that lower stub should be no more than 4 inches above ground. It's the better part of 12 inches. That stub would tear into a vehicle's undercarriage, maybe cut the fuel lines, and incinerate you. Is that misinformation? Absolutely not. It's the truth. I've got their design drawings. They just didn't follow them. They got reimbursed. That one's a good almost 18 inches higher than it should be. And people say, well, you're not an engineer. I can measure. I can use a measuring tape. So I've actually hit the end of my comments. Anyone has any more comments, feel free to add them. It's Steve the Guardrail Guy, just out for a walk. Interesting thing about school zones. The shorter your school zone, and the closer, 45 miles per hour, 15 miles an hour. Your compliance in this school zone is going to be very, very low because of the discrepancy in speeds. Starting from 45, dropping to 15, will get you a net reduction in speed that is lower. And this is, so people say, well, let's drop it to 10 because they're not complying. No, raise it to 20 and you'll get a much higher compliance rate and much closer you'll get a net reduction in speed. So the closer the speeds are, so your posted speed to your reduced speed, the closer they are, the better compliance you get and the better net reduction in speed. It's kind of counterintuitive. Second thing, you see how there's no point where we see we've exited the school zone? By putting an exit light, it's almost like having a goal, like, hey, I'm reaching the end of the school zone and I can speed up. Your compliance with the school zone goes up. So that's another thing related to school zones. The final thing, the shorter the school zone, you're like, hey, let's put it for a mile either direction. Horrible idea. Your compliance is going to be lower. So if the goal is to get people to slow down, then go with the science. If your goal is to write speeding tickets because people speed through school zones, then do what you're doing. There's a lot of research that we simply don't follow. So we have an MSKT recent install, and right here we get into a steel spacer, and they've left the old cable anchor bracket that will not feed through the system. We have a whole lot of other problems, including that the hazard is way too close to the guardrail. They didn't put enough design run out length here. I'm going to walk up here through the parking lot so I can stay out of the far away from the road. Have a moment of safety at least. Steve the Guardrail Guy, out for a walk, and I have a pocket full of pens and a keychain that I got from various state DOTs. I was looking for a spot where I could leave those, where you could safely pick them up. I don't want anyone to take a risk. This is Highland Park Elementary School, the Highland Park Baptist Church. There's just a bunch of pens. North Carolina DOT, they look like Charlie Brown, a white guy and a black guy. Road Systems, Trimble, Traffics. Anyways, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna leave them on that pavilion, leave them on that park bench. If you wanna just pull into the parking lot, They'll be right here, the Highland Park Church. I'm gonna stop and see. Looks like somebody's here. I'll ask if I can leave them there. That'd be safe. There's some. Anyways, I'll just leave them here. If somebody wants to pick them up, there's just a bunch of pens and stuff. I'll stop back. We're gonna probably stop here for a trunk or treat. It's right there. Highland Park Elementary School, Highland Park Baptist Church. Park here safely so you're not running off the road parking dangerously. And you can get yourself a bunch of free pens. I help clean out my storage area. All this stuff I get from all these conventions and folks sending me. Somebody wants to send me stuff. I've got a P.O. box. I gotta get that and post it. I'll give more stuff away if some of these manufacturers send me stuff. I think that's a Gregory hat. I had a Spig hat at home. I have a bunch of different hats. Don't endorse any of them, but I like hats. I'll give your hats away. If Gregory sends me some hats, I'll give them away. And alive. Spig gives me a hat, I'll give them away. I'll even give out a Veltier hat. I'll give out a Lindsay Lohan hat. That's the only Lindsay hat so I'm going to give out. Bolts should always face in. And you can see here, those bolts are facing out. Those are wrong. It's not me being critical. That's just, take a look at that. We're missing 1, 2, 3 splice bolts. There. This sign here, that should be no more than 4 inches above grade. It's about 6 to 8. Steve the guardrail guy, practicing for a walk across the state of Tennessee. Hoping to do several miles today. I'm going to live stream a lot of that walk. I'm walking from my daughter's crash site in McLean County, Tennessee, to the governor's office in Nashville. I'll be documenting everything I find along the way. I'm going to live stream some of it just be quiet, me walking. I'd love to have some of you join me. I love Dierks Bentley's song. Where he says, maybe you could walk with me a while. I'd love to have some of you walk with me a while. Just see what we find. Visit. It's got some beautiful pansies. Only a couple flats. I need to stop back here and get some. Anyways, let's see what my battery. I switched phones. Switched carriers because I was going into 911 mode constantly. And finally got it ported. I'd missed some calls, including from attorneys. So I was able to get that ported and fixed. But we're just walking towards Knoxville now. Put in a power bank because I was at 37%. Yep, I'm here. Please don't go over the white line because there's no space. I don't want to be the guy that gets has his live stream show up on CNN. Gets run over by somebody leaving the roadway. It is Pedestrian Safety Month. That would be fitting. Steve the guardrail guy just out for a walkabout. Any Australians joining us here today? Just out for a walkabout. Taking a look at signs and other issues. We've got another sign. That's interesting. This one's been inspected. Inspected by Tennessee DOT in 2023. The design drawings are crystal clear. That lower piece should be no more than 4 inches above the ground. It's about 24 inches on the ground. To report damage, call your local TDOT office. Who do I call when your head is so far up your rear end that you put a sticker on it after you've installed it wrong. I've got to be nicer. Let my emotions get the better of me. We just almost do nothing right. We pay millions and millions of dollars to do it wrong. I'm okay with not doing it at all. I'd rather do it not at all than pay millions of dollars to do it wrong. We got one up here that's a better part of 28 inches too high. I can see the inspection sticker, the design drawings, and this is not my opinion. It's the design drawings are crystal clear. 4-inch stub, and that is a good 36 inches. It's just done wrong. If that's me being critical, then I guess I'm being critical. All right. Yeah, some people don't want to be educated. Some people delight in their stupidity. I don't know how else to put it. The quality is so bad. So we have a culvert here, big pipe, and you can see here a collapse there, but a complete collapse right there. Probably shouldn't be walking there. It may just give way. Anyways, let's keep walking. I'm walking towards Knox County, Tennessee. I've been walking for the better part of 4 miles, maybe 5. I'm just trying to get a feel for how I'm planning on walking about 200 miles from my daughter's crash site to the governor's office, and figuring out like what's my limit for a day. I hope to I'm not going to do it day after day after day. I'll go walk, and then I'll walk again the next day. And if I'm done for the week, I'll be done for the week. I'm okay with that. If it takes me 2 months, it takes me 2 months. Ooh. Somebody's pipe is completely rotted away. That whole thing's going to collapse here before too long. Anyways, I'm just out for a walkabout, seeing what I find. Some of these areas are super hard to get to. You can never stop a vehicle here to do the inspection. It's not really that safe to be here. I've got my guardian angel warning people from the backside. I've got my high vis on. I try to be as safe as I can. It doesn't necessarily make up for a maniac in a vehicle going 75 miles an hour in a 30, or for faulty roadside design, I may end up dead. Don't intend to. I want to go to heaven, I just don't want to go tonight. The quality is so bad. This honestly makes so much sense. People don't want to slow down so much. That is really, they don't want to slow down, but it's because they feel safe. They don't slow down because they feel safe. One of the other things is they feel entitled to speed, and they also aren't afraid of speeding. A $500 fine is a very poor deterrent, and I'm not suggesting that we increase our fines. I'm actually, if I was king, our speeding tickets would only cost about $25. The issue is your vehicle would be impounded. Again, it would be, but I'd make sure it was cheap, like maybe $25. But you would instantly get arrested and spend 12 hours in jail. So it'd only cost you $50. But that 12 hours in jail would change the behavior. Your compliance would go way up. People say, well, that's not free. Sure it is. You can have rules and laws and due process. And speed on a military base. Speed on a military base and tell me what happens. You're not afraid to speed on the roadside. You speed on a military base, you're getting in trouble. You may lose your job. Your commander might get in trouble. So I would change the incentives and disincentives for speeding. Thanks for looking into the guardrails in your area. I just had Nick in Ohio. He reported 3 locations. There's a sign that's improperly installed. We don't do any of them right. None of them. Nick took a look at some soft stops, improperly installed, reached out to his local mayor, and they had them fixed within 24 hours. They were able to point to the design drawings. They didn't have a leg to stand on. They got them fixed, and you know, I was able to share what I know with Nick in Brecksville. Nick was able to share with the Brecksville mayor. Not Brecksville's mayor shared it with his road superintendent. It got fixed. Somebody, someday, their life might be saved because Nick watched one of my YouTube videos and was able to convince the mayor of Brecksville to get that fixed. So shout out to Nick, what a hero. See Michigan, but give me a sec. Length of need. I'll read the rest of your comment. Michigan has a horrific problem with run-out length and length of need. So many gating and non-energy absorbing devices installed within 50 feet of the hazard, knowing full well it can take 200 feet to come to a controlled stop. They put a 50-foot rope out there. People hit the bridges and die. Length of need. The slotted rail terminal is a massive exposure in the state of Michigan. I recently, the secretary for the mayor of the city of Pontiac, 2 of her kids were in the car with her, went off the road, hit a slotted rail terminal, no run out length, went into a canal or a river, lake, something, went into a body of water, and her and her 2 boys were killed. I can point you to similar stories involving fatalities all across the state of Michigan. Recently there was a fatal on a local road. Again, length of need. But that guardrail was Frankenstein, so it really compounded the problem. And Michigan has lots of old, obsolete guardrail, but run-out length is a massive problem in Michigan. Let me finish reading your comments. I was just telling you what I don't like about Michigan. Oh. Yeah. Hopefully somebody picks them up. John Smith, Secretary of Transportation 2024. They'd fire me in about a week. I don't get along with left or right generally. But I'll give it a try. If they appoint me, I don't see that happening, but I'd give it a try. It absolutely makes no sense to skip bolts, unfortunately. It's often, sometimes it's ignorance. They don't know. One of the things I'm working on, and you'll hopefully see, one, it'll help my attitude, because there's certain, I find like Tennessee DOT to be frustrating. They delight in their doing it wrong. So I really want to work with entities that want to get better. So like if a contractor wants to have me come in and audit their system, audit their last 20 installs, I can point out, look, here's where your issues are, and you complain about getting sued, but the way to not get sued as a guardrail installer is to install the guardrails right. Guardrail works if installed right. So install it right and you'll get sued a whole lot less. Bring the guardrail guy in. Let him take a critical look. Say, oh, you're pounding this post and crimping it and causing vehicle instability. Oh, you're installing this part backwards. You're field drilling holes. Stop that and you'll stop getting sued as much. I want to work with locals. I'm working on setting up a charity where what we'll be able to do is take quality used parts and offer them to local municipalities either for free or at an extraordinarily discounted rate so that they can make these repairs. They'll have access to thousands of free blockouts and get rid of their steel spacers. They'll have access to splice bolts and they'll be without excuse. They'll have free splice bolts. In that situation, why aren't you putting the bolts in? You know where to get them. You know where to get them for free. So that's I'm working on. There's so many areas where there's literally no sidewalk. Yeah, I'm on one of them. I've got a tractor trailer barreling up on me, and I have nowhere to go. He hits me, I'm dead right there. Speeds, more than 90% of the crashes that occur at 45 miles an hour or greater are fatal for a pedestrian. Ryan, turn down guardrail in Hillsborough County. 1 in every 6 fatalities, or 1 in every 6 crashes involving a turn down results in fatality. It's the number one problem in the state of Ohio. Anywhere where there's a turn down, it is a death waiting to happen. No doubt. I've seen multiple locations, 2 up in Marysville, Ohio. 2 fatals this year, 30 days apart. When I began investigating them, I found a previous fatal at both locations within the last 15 years. Turn downs are killing machines. Steve the guardrail guy, just out for a walkabout. I'm on Highway 11. I left some pens at the pavilion there at, oh goodness, where was it? Highland Park Baptist Church. Somebody wants to stop and get themselves some DOT pens. Feel free to do that. It's in Lanier City, Tennessee. It's a safe place to park. Oh, thank you. That's nice for you to call me amazing, but resilient in getting justice. I am stubborn too. But thank you for those kind comments. One of the really rewarding things is when one of my families, I can't bring their loved one back. I cannot bring back a spouse. I cannot bring back a parent. But when one of my families retains legal counsel and eventually makes a recovery and gives them the tools to help heal, and gives them the tools to make a difference in their life, and knowing full well, and I'm not looking for credit for that, but when I know that decisions I made led to potentially a high 6, 7, or even 8-figure recovery. You know where, if you ever watch Family Matters, Urkel, he's like, I did that. I don't say that out. It feels good, is what I'd say. It's when one of my families gets justice after I was able to alert them to an issue. Steve the guardrail guy. I'm just out for a walkabout, practicing for a statewide walkabout. I'm going to walk 200 miles from my daughter's crash site to the governor's office. I am now on Highway 11. And there's a food truck up here. the only option for miles. But I've never eaten here. It's just something about the school bus. It's probably good. But I think I'm gonna keep walking. What time is it? If I eat something big now, I might get sick. I don't want to get sick. You got to keep going and keep yourself safe. Yep, that's the goal, is to stay safe. The scary thing is I know that you can only be on the roadside for so long. It's math. Everything is math. The greater the exposure, the longer the length of the exposure, the higher the probability that something goes wrong. So there's a good chance that I do get hit on the side of the road. I hope it doesn't happen. I try to modify my behaviors to decrease the probability of getting hit. But in a world in which death is certain, I hope it finds me doing something sensible. It was a takeoff from a quote of C.S. Lewis. Yeah, that issue in Pontiac is disgusting. Should have never happened. I wonder how much your soda is.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, how much is a Coke?
Nice and big cup.
I don't want a cup because then I just have to throw it out.
They're not. They may not be real cold, though, brother.
Oh, well,
They've not been in the fridge. But you're
all right.
You want to feel it and see. There's one out there. They might be pretty cool.
All right.
Let's see.
Oh, those are. How much is the Dr. Pepper?
Pick 3 also.
I'll take the Dr. Pepper.
Okay. Here you go. It's not ice cold, but it's cool.
It's cold enough.
You have a blessed day, bud.
All right, you
Thank
too.
you.
All right. Hold on a sec. I'm just on a walkabout here. Got myself a Dr. Pepper. Steve the Guardrail Guy. I am at US 321 and Shaw Ferry Road. I'm going to thank you for the kind comments, Buffy. Y'all, America has this problem too. I'm in Europe and we are prioritizing the wrong things. One day, it looks like Mexico. There's an element where, yes, it does. It looks like the neglect that's characterized by governments that don't care. Let's keep walking. All right. Steve the Guardrail Guy. Just out for a walkabout. And seeing how far I can walk today. Hopefully I can get a ride back because I've walked about 5 miles already. I intend to walk about another 5, and I don't want to have to walk 10 miles back. Our pedestrian infrastructure in America, we just count on the fact that people don't walk anywhere, so we don't provide any kind of safe measures for them to walk. And fortunately no one's turning left or right. They would not expect me to be here. They'd just run me over. I've had many people hop on here from all over the world today. A number of you hit that like button. If you haven't, go ahead and hit that. Helps me out with YouTube and their algorithm. It's encouraging to see how many people the live impacted. If you have a comment, all right, won't read that comment. If you have a question, feel free to put that in the comments. It's a lot more interesting for me when I can walk and talk and answer questions. I stop thinking of things to talk about, and then I say something I shouldn't say. Yeah, it's terrifying. I have one location. I think I might do a live there one time. It's downtown Knoxville, near the campus. Emerald Youth Foundation, which works with thousands of inner city Knoxville kids. It's right there. The Children's Hospital is right up the road. And trying to cross at the intersection safely takes about 15 to 20 minutes. Nobody watches for you. They park in the crosswalk. They'll run you over. I'll do a 2-hour live there sometime, and I'll have to count the number of times I almost get run over, because it's unreal. They just don't obey the traffic signals or any of it. They don't yield. Anyways, it's Steve the Guardrail Guy. I'm out for a walkabout. Those plowable steel reflectors, I hate those suckers. Those have no business being on the road. Again, we're coming up on another sign. It's going to be installed around. You can already see it. The lower stub should be no more than 4 inches above grade, and that one looks to be 8 to 10. It'll tear the bottom of the fuel tank, and you could potentially be incinerated in what could be a minor crash because they didn't install the sign right. Again, don't hit the sign. I get that, don't hit the sign. But also, we paid hundreds of dollars for you to install a sign that was inside, and it's installed wrong. Give us what we pay for. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Just walking up Highway 11. Love when I do my statewide walk across the state of Tennessee. I'm going to live stream a lot of that. I'll post in the community sections kind of where I'm walking. I get most people are probably not going to want to walk 10 to 20 miles, but walk with me a little ways. Bring me a Coke. That would be really nice. It's after 1 o'clock though. Bring me a Sprite. Caffeine just keeps me up all night. But just the encouragement of people coming out, interacting with me, interacting in the comments, asking questions about the barriers, about the areas I'm at, telling me where you're at. That's always, it's wild. Somebody from Indonesia jumped on here earlier and asked a question. That is so awesome. Yeah, so we do use a lot. Where are you at? Gord, where are you at? Canada. Yeah, Canada does typically use the same suppliers. There's a really good company in Ontario that's developing some stuff. I don't think they've developed an end terminal, but most of the stuff used in Canada is similar. Most of the problems are similar. There's some of the areas you get out into places like Manitoba or Saskatchewan, and it's just it's so rural. Accessing parts, it's just expensive, kind of like Hawaii or Alaska, to get the stuff there. It's just a long ways from anywhere. So we're coming up on a run of guardrails, so I'm gonna just wait here till some of these big rigs get past. It's just scary. There's just nowhere to go. I'm gonna walk in the ditch. It's Steve, the guardrail guy. We'll look at this guardrails. There's two up here. I was on a walk about not too long ago, maybe about Christmas time. I almost got ran over on that one. They just drove over top of me. Just missed me. They were turning right. But these two guardrails, the approach, the trailing end on this side, the trailing end on the other, the posts were completely rotted out. And I was able to get those replaced with new mash tested systems. We'll check and see. I have a feeling they may have filled this hollow tube up with rock. And okay, so yeah, you probably see a lot of MSKTs. Depending on where you are in Canada, you'll see some obsolete guardrails with the crash up in Cherry Street in East Lakeshore with the Tesla. I don't know if anyone's seen that. I've talked a little bit about it. There's about 25 locations that I monitor. Cherry Street's a city of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Location. It's not MTO. Horrific guardrails. Horrific design. I've already documented 2 fatal crashes along that stretch. They're unanchored. They're blunt ends. There's bolts falling apart. They're too low. I get a report. 4 students from India driving a Tesla, and they hit a barrier on Cherry and Lakeshore and hit a bridge pillar, and they're incinerated. I broke a story. It's been all over the world related to Teslas and guardrail. And this Toronto crash earlier this week was I don't know how fast that crash, the Tesla crash, I do think they were probably going fast. The issue is those guardrails should have been able to take 100-kilometer-hour hit. And the Cherry Street guardrails are horrific. They're simply, I've had 2 fatals before this. When I look at a photo in a news story and I'm like, oh, that's Cherry Street in Ontario, in Toronto, I'm not surprised. I expected to see a crash at that location, and I did. So it was just terrible install. The city of Toronto should be ashamed. And I said, I don't know what the speed was, but I could expect to see that level of injury at speeds as low as 40 miles per hour. I would not be surprised. I'm going to park right here for a second, and then when I get a break, I'm going to make as fast a run as I can to that next stretch, because this is not much space for a pedestrian. Yeah, I saw that person who pulled her out was a hero. Can't imagine as a first responder trying to save 5 people and having 4 of them incinerated in front of you, the trauma that you'd live with. You know, you get it's not your fault, but the mind might be irrational, the heart's a whole nother matter. Watching 4 people be incinerated in front of you is not something you come back from real fast. So here we have an issue with absolutely no clear zone. If you hit this guardrail, you're going to be pulled and you're going to flip over. You're going to be flipped over. They tried to create an apron. They kept that hollow tube cables a little. It's okay. It's better than it was. Not what I would like. There's a Trinity. So we got. Just take a look here. One of the big issues is tractor trailers using Highway 11 here to bypass the weight, the scales, and the DOT inspections, and it makes your local roads much more dangerous. We've got let's take a look at this. This is interesting. Don't see this error. Oh, it's not in there. We got it right. So you see this is a universal post. And there's holes here for a 31-inch install and holes for a 27-inch install. Again, there's our hole for the 31. They use the 27. And then you have to use the 27-inch slot there, which is a 27-inch install. It's actually right. There's some concerns with the height of the stub there. There should be a rock apron here. This bearing plate should not be askew like that. But for redirected purposes, it's going to do an okay job. It's one of the better installs. Not great, but better than some. I do see a lot of soft stops in Ontario and in Canada. One of the things, Monomoy is a hedge fund that purchased Trinity Highway. From what I understand, they didn't purchase their liability, only their assets. Trinity Industries retained the liability, and Monomoy. I trade in a bunch of rumors, lies, and chicanery is what I'd say. Some people tell me stuff that's true. Some people tell me stuff that's partially true. And some people tell me just straight up lies. So, Monomoy, from what I can see, I think they want to exit the roadside safety business. I'm not certain of that. But I think they're juicing the sales on the soft stop, offering some really competitive discounts so that they can get their sales up high. And like most hedge funds, they're looking to stay on the road, please. It's the problem is when they're texting, they'll run me over. But Monomoy, I think, is juicing their sales, and you're probably seeing that's one of the reasons you may be seeing a lot of soft stop installs, because they're offering really cut rate prices. It's a competitive market. If you're installing another system and you can't you can get it for $200 or $300 cheaper, you're going to choose it. The soft stop's a decent product, much better than many of the NCHRP products that were so controversial. But don't like that it was not ethically crash tested. The developers of the product have a financial conflict of interest. They tested it and approved it. Another concern with the soft stop is incinerations, because on test 35 and 31, it punctured the fuel tank. I don't want to be speared by a guardrail. I don't want to roll over. And I don't want to be incinerated. Being dead is being dead. How you got there is largely irrelevant. It's the dead part that's the problem. But so got a lot of people pulling out of this parking lot. Again, not expecting to see me. Very likely would just, on their phone, run me over. So it's this kind of, like this person, we might just get across here. Steve the guardrail guy out for a walkabout. A lot of you have joined me today. I am on. So here's an issue. A lot of times, so we have an old dead pole here and a brand new one. And so we had that double pole, and there have been multiple fatalities. The local, whether it's AT&T or the local Becker company, they just don't have much incentive to get these out of there, so they just leave them. And I'm going to read this question here in a second, but finish this thought. They just leave them, and that produces a much more dangerous impact. Hitting a telephone pole is dangerous, but when it's doubled up, you've increased the risk, and there have been a lot of fatalities with people hitting. We don't take our clear zone seriously is the ultimate problem. Whew, that's quite the drop off with a road defect, very similar to a fatal crash I investigated up in Pinch, West Virginia. The road defect pulled the person off the road. They were going too fast. There's a bunch of stupid things that combined. This person, I'm gonna just get down in the ditch because they will run me over. They're not looking, they're not looking, they're looking. They're not looking. They were gonna watch. They would have run me over. That person, again, not looking. Didn't believe there'd be somebody on the right. Would have run me right over. What about rusty guardrails? So there's two types of rusty guardrail. Rusted out guardrails that are just rusty. They're worthless. Cortan is a type of steel that's used to get a rusted patina. The feds, Caltrans, they put this into pressure, basically a pressure cooker. It is not reasonable. It requires regular inspections, constant inspections. Life expectancy is very low on the lifespan of the guardrail. It has to cure properly, so it needs to sit out unnested, essentially almost on a clothesline, for 90 days to get the proper patina. Never happens. Never, ever, ever happens. So Cortan, which is used for aesthetic reasons only, well, find me a guardrail that looks good. It doesn't look good, it's just a guardrail. You're so uppity that you need a good-looking guardrail, you're an idiot, is what I would tell the municipality. So I am not a fan of rusted guardrail. I think it's a sign that your leadership is a bunch of either not maintaining their system, or they feel like they have to have uppity guardrails, and there's no such thing as uppity guardrails. There's just uppity guardrails are much more dangerous, whether it's Merritt Parkway guardrail with static wood railings, or Cortan guardrail. It doesn't look good. It never looks good. It's just guardrail. So, yeah, Southern Ontario uses a lot of guardrail. I'm gonna get run over here. You see, that right-hand turn is so dangerous. Southern Ontario, Western New York. I grew up south of Buffalo, so we've been up to Niagara on the Lake, but Niagara Falls too. But that resort, I think it's Niagara on the Lake. Could be in Ohio too, but Fort Erie is where we've been. But one of my favorite DOT workers in America is from that area. But actually, I think it was Tim Horton, the actual Tim Horton, not the donut guy, that hit a barrier. Was it a barrier that Horton hit? I forget. He was in a crash up on the QEW. Anyways, with Southern Ontario, the main issue is a lot of ELTs, a non-energy absorbing device, a lot of wood posts, very soft soils. There was a crash up in Bath. There's another one caught my attention. T intersection, came down the hill, hit the guardrail, ruptured, went into Lake Ontario. They pulled the vehicle, it was icy, pulled the vehicle with the deceased. And then underneath that vehicle was a pickup truck with a second fatal crash. It happened a decade before, no one realized it. They fixed the rail, and it wasn't until they removed the first vehicle that they discovered, well, there's a second vehicle underneath the first one, and there was another dead body. So that's one thing I always tell people who are installing guardrails. Look behind the guardrail. And if you have a damaged guardrail, look for an oil slick. Look for some sign that there could be a dead person back there. And this happens several times a year where a guardrail crew finds a body. The closure that you can bring, that's a stupid term, but the closure you can bring to a family is real. So, yeah, they're the same person, but I know he was being chased by, he was playing for the Sabres at the time, wasn't he? He had been traded to the Sabres, was finishing out, he had an alcohol problem. But Canada's roads, it's amazing how culture influences driving behavior. The number of fatalities on Canada's roads are too high, but nowhere in proportion to what you see in the United States. And we all look the same, but the culture is different, which does have a huge culture impacts driver behavior in a way that, and then Canadians get down here and they drive like us, maniacs, once they're here. But the number of fatalities in Canada on an annual basis per million miles driven is way lower than ours in the US. It's Steve the Guardrail Guy. I'm going to walk down here and I'm going to take a look at a couple of new guardrails. I'm going to show you what I think is the biggest problem in guardrail. It's a very minor issue, but it goes to the core of the problem, which is not following the instructions. Just out for a walkabout, seeing how far I'll go today. Probably end the live just up there, way up there. But I got hit up here the other day. I was just driving, not doing any guardrail stuff, going to see Jimmy Dykes. There was an FCA dinner, and somebody texting just drove into the back of me at full speed, hit me in the back. Ended up with a sore back. Fortunately, I had my seatbelt on. He had his seatbelt on. A lot of people don't realize the headrest is actually a safety device that prevents you from getting really bad whiplash injuries. People used to break their necks in those kind of crashes. But I was sore for a day or so and it was fine, but if somebody texted me, drove into the back of me. It was right up here. I've got to get my car fixed. All right, we got some more comments. Let me step off the side of the road because I don't want to walk into traffic. Can you speak? Je m'appelle Steve. I took French in high school and I don't mostly remember the swear words. I'm sorry. I try not to swear, whether it's in English or French. And now I'm thinking, I learned a bit of Russian. My French is very, very limited. Bonjour. Yani mnogo говорю по-французи. I don't speak a lot of. I think I've mixed my Russian and some French in there. I know I was just trying to say something in Russian, but I think I might have said that last might have been in French. Huh? Anyways, let's stop with the French. 716. I grew up in Fredonia. I would love some beef on weck and bison chip dips and Salem's hot dogs. Was never a fan of Mighty Taco. Never understood that. Did like Tim Hortons. Some Welch's grape juice. Real pizza from real people with big personalities like Kevin Russo or any of the number of different delis you can get up there. Well, I'm not even going to get into the Quebec thing. I will a little bit. There's a few places where my advocacy is very, very difficult. I'll tell you where they are. Alaska. They are so exceptionally arrogant in how they treat outsiders. New Hampshire. Live free or die. And if you're not from New Hampshire and you have any input, just die, 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 die. Hawaii. Same thing. Do not like outsiders. And then Quebec. If they didn't come up with the idea and you don't parlez-vous le français, it's time to assieds-toi, which is sit down and shut up. Taisez-vous. I'm remembering some of my French. Certain places, Quebec, New Hampshire, Alaska, and Hawaii, trying to do anything as an outsider, even if you're right, is virtually impossible because of the exceptional arrogance and prejudice that comes out of these places towards outsiders. Just makes any level of advocacy work virtually impossible for me. Because if I see something, I'm going to tell you what I think is wrong. Trying to be strategic. You have to be strategic. You have to have it be where it was their idea and not yours. Otherwise, you're not getting anywhere. There's a sign that should be 4 inches. It's about 14 inches, way too high. Steve the guardrail guy. We'll take a look up here. I'll walk to where I had that crash. And you'll notice I call them crashes, not accidents. There was nothing accidental about what happened in my crash here, up here the other day. The guy was on his cell phone. He was looking at his phone. He drove into the back of me and smoked me. He didn't accidentally hit me. He hit me by doing something he shouldn't have done. Fortunately, neither one of us was seriously hurt. I was just driving. I was driving, and all of a sudden, I heard screeching, and I thought, somebody's going to get hit. And then all of a sudden, like, boom! Oh, that was me that's getting hit. We're going to take a look at a couple of new installs up here. I'm going to switch sides. I don't like that curve. I don't like this location. There's really just no great options for walking safely here. So I choose the more safe option. That's what it comes down to. Or the one I feel most comfortable with. So we have a couple of S-Gets. This is a system. It doesn't have the wide reach. It's one. It's a very effective system. Most states are committed to a concept called dual sourcing. It means you want to have two sources. Fortunately, the dual sourcing, then they are to safety, so they're often willing to have one bad system and one good system as long as they have two to buy. If I was going to be that committed to dual sourcing, I would. Fortunately, right now we have two really higher-end systems, which is the MSKT and the S-Get. So we have the option of dual sourcing. I think dual sourcing played a very large role in the death of my daughter. Was this commitment that, well, we'd rather have 2 or 3 sources to buy than if there's only one good one, we're going to buy that one. That would be my policy, but they don't seem to care. So this here, I think, is ultimately the biggest problem in guardrail. It's this. It's just a zip tie with a plastic spacer that lets you make sure your impact head is properly installed every time. The reason I think it's a really big deal is it has absolutely no effect on performance. But the manufacturer is very clear that after you're done, you should clip that and take it off. Nobody ever does. That attitude of we're going to do what we want, that's so dangerous. So I think this is not the most serious issue, but it's indicative of the most serious issue. Here we have no 4 inches, but if you hit this head on, very good chance that's going to come up through the windshield. The thing I really like about the Esket is the way that it's designed. It's very, very difficult to install the system wrong. You have to do intentional stuff like not build up the rock apron. This part here, it can only be installed right. If you leave parts off, then yes, it can be installed wrong. But it's an extruding system, and it means that this sleeve moves down. I'll show you this. This is these here. These are tighter